guys, welcome to a Cleveland Moto Podcast. And what number are we at?
Oh, fuck. 367.
267?
I think so. Or 57. 57?
Right. I'm going to go out and physically look because now it's just too embarrassing to not know. It would be just cruel to lead people in this primrose path of not knowing.
I'm going to guess 357.
I think 57. I think you're right, Smith. But the reason we don't know anything is because Phil's been out celebrating in otherworldly places for like 3 weeks, enjoying life.
I figured that we'll just talk about that for a second and kind of, I'll bring you guys up to speed because it is.
We got hate mail. We got hate mail for not posting any podcasts. Yeah, I heard from several people asking if we gave up or we did something, and we said no. Phil is gallivanting out in the islands. Right. So he'll get back to us when he can.
I'll come back when I damn well feel like it.
The Christmas one was 356. The Christmas.
Yeah, this is 357 Magnum.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice. So this is 357 Magnum. I dropped a best of the one where Dustin, Shane, and I went down to Kentucky to do the ton rally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I dropped that. That was a lot of fun. So I put that one up for folks. That's a really good podcast. It's got a lot of crowd participation. There's banjos. It's got a lot of live music. It's a good podcast. It's a lot of fun.
So if this podcast turns out to be a dud, are we going to rename it like 38?
Yes, 38 special. Yeah. It is less powerful than the 357. Yeah.
Can we name it 380 Auto?
380 Auto.
You're on the 380 Autos, okay?
That's a tough one. Had a bit of an emergency at the house just before I launched the podcast. They have tonic at Aldi, little jars that are very similar to the Fever Tree, right? They're like the Aldi version of Fever Tree, and they're fucking delicious, and they're not expensive. 8-ounce bottle, perfectly good for a really tall, like a triple, right? And so I poured out my 8 ounces of tonic in my fancy measuring glass and everything. I had exactly 8 ounces of tonic in there. And then I went to grab my gin and there wasn't any.
Oh.
So I had to go out into the garage to get the double secret reserve stash of gin. And the only thing I could find was the gin that I got from under my mother's kitchen cupboard before she died out of the trailer park. And so tonight I'm drinking
Gilby's.
And not just Gilby's, my friend, not just Gilby's, but under the sink, aged, fully developed. I'll tell you how old this bottle is. There's no www anywhere on it. So this bottle predates the internet by a damn good bit. It does have a tax. No, it doesn't. Oh, it doesn't have a tax stamp on it. So that means Mom probably smuggled this down from Canada. So if you're buying $6 worth of gin at the duty free in a handle, a proper fucking handle. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. Yeehaw.
How does it compare to sea-aged gin? That's what I want to know.
You're right, exactly.
You're in the freaking sea aging.
This
gin is yours.
This gin has virtually no flavor. Yeah, it's the vodka of gins.
Excellent.
Unless you sailed with it, there's no proof it was sea aged.
That's true.
I watched moonshiners, and they stuck their clear moonshine in barrels for 6 months on a boat, and it came back tasting like 15-year-old aged whiskey. So
according to
is a thing. Thank you very much.
According to them.
Well, yeah. I mean, a TV show that we have no documentation whether it's real or not. But I take that as gospel, and they made good whiskey out of it.
But it is an entertainment program. So if you were entertained, mission accomplished.
But I'll spend an extra $10 to buy boat whiskey. That's all I'm saying.
Right, boat whiskey.
But I thought they sunk those barrels to like the bottom of the ocean and let them sit there for like a certain amount of time, and then
what they say is that when you put it on a boat, it's the temperature changes every day a bunch of times, and then of course it's rocking. So that sends the whiskey through the wood a lot faster and more. And then the constantly changing temperatures and salt water and stuff pull the whiskey into the wood and then suck it back out. So they say that like when you do that, you lose 10% because it's way more volatile than just sitting in like a basement or something. but you age it more.
That
So
sounds
there
like
is
bullshit to me,
science
Cinch.
behind boat whiskey.
That's bullshit.
Oh, shit.
So why don't you just put it on a simulator and spray salt water on the barrels and then say, what the hell? I mean, it would work the same way.
That's Cleveland whiskey. You just nailed it. Congratulations. There you go.
Yeah, that's pretty. That sounds pretty special.
Yeah.
There's the ghost of Nick Present.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he's getting pizza for all of us, even though he's in South Carolina or wherever.
Yeah. So that's good. So, anybody buy anything weird today?
Did you get your Moto Sex capsule?
I did.
Oh,
I did. I'm very proud to announce that I am the new owner of a
Lunar sex capsule.
an astronaut shaggin' wagon. that's the only way I can put it. I really can't think of a possible better way to describe exactly what the fuck that thing is. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, I bought it. So I bought it. It's a 1997 Toyota Hiace, and yeah, I'm a big fan. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's got air ride suspension. You know, it's slammed on the ground. There's a little bit of an air assist, so you can get it like up and down over curbs and shit. So we'll see. I have no idea what this thing's going to check out to, but everything's shipping right now so slow. It may be June before I see the damn thing. So
So just purchased it online, but you haven't received it.
yeah,
Okay.
I made
All
the
right.
purchase. I did all the things that one needs to do to facilitate making the buy, and that's that's what happened. So
It's under offer.
it's under offer. That's exactly right.
do you know
Yeah.
if it smells like
There's a
success?
Nissan fire truck. And there were two that I was going to ask you about.
There is a fire truck up there right now, but it's I believe it's a 97. I think we have to wait 10 months.
Well, this was not a 97. It was like a 90 or 92, and it was a Nissan. It had 19,000 kilometers on it. The underbody was mint. It had a
Shoot me a link.
okay. I'll
Yeah,
look it
send
up
me a
right-
link. I'm very curious about that. The yeah, because that sounds cool.
It might already be sold, but I thought you weren't importing anymore, so I didn't say anything. So-
Okay, yeah, you can let me know about that stuff. That's totally cool. The
TMI too.
yeah, I was just looking at some of the costs of some of the things because they've gotten a bit ridiculous. But the price in Japan, they did go absolutely batshit. I mean, it went batshit crazy for more than a minute, and then it did finally settle down. So yeah, so the Astronaut Sex van, that's happening. So I'm pretty happy about it. Yeah,
You
we'll
mean
see.
the price on their end or the shipping? We know that went up.
Yeah.
anyway,
So
right?
what's
But-
happened is this. So the price that they're telling you. So when you go to a white person friendly site like Be Forward, right? And they tell you something like, oh, this vehicle's $3,000, but it's going to cost $2,000 to ship it. Well, that's not entirely the whole story. That's the guy in Japan telling you best case scenario, right? So, but that's not a real actual forecasting of what the price of the vehicle to ship really is going to be. That's mostly a guess. And then they submit that out to a shipping company, and then the shipping company gets back to you or your customs broker and says, oh, well, that's great that they told you that, but this is the actual price. Yeah.
Wow.
Can't hear you.
Still there?
Yeah, I
Yep,
sent,
we're here.
I sent you that link, Phil. So
Yeah, cool. Thank you. I'll look into that and figure out what that one is.
the only thing that scared me is, like you said, that the sheet has a couple things written in that box.
Yeah, chicken scratch. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm looking at it right now. Yep. Yeah, we can go through this. I'll rip through it and see exactly what it's all about. But they're
Cheap.
it's the price. So the price of the shipping has gone up, but the cars that were absolutely out of control, overpriced, have softened up, and that's nice. I mean, that's a really good thing because it was ugly there for a minute. I mean, it was really, really ugly, and that's no good. So we'll, the pricing in Japan at least seems to have settled down quite a bit, which is exactly what you want to hear. So yeah, so that's that.
So you were mentioning the high ace. Then I was watching this week. I think the
YouTube channel Donut. They did the recent one of the new cars that you can import, and I think they talk about the High Ace and what's the other one?
The Delicas, the Mitsubishi.
Yeah, the Delicas, right. Started talking about those, so that was nice to see.
So the big
those.
problem right now is a lot of states have decided to make things illegal
They
just
mentioned
based
that,
on the
yeah.
word. And like what's happened is just like having a pit bull. You know, if you've got a pit bull is now an illegal commodity in a lot of states and a lot of cities and everything else. But if you have an American Bull Terrier or something like that, oh, then it's okay. That dog's fine, but a pit bull's not fine.
Oh, that mini truck.
Yeah. The word K truck or Kai truck is probably going
Don't
to
call
get
it a mini truck.
Yeah, don't call it that. So I've been changing. So on my titles, when I do the titles, I'm coming up with other things to call them. So hopefully that will help protect them a little bit. Yeah. I wasn't sure if we were allowed to share screens or not. Let's see if I can. Oh, yeah. Okay. See if you can open that up because I'll show you guys what that thing looks like.
Hold standby. Where is that? Strength. Hold on.
Not a Honda Acti, it's a Pilot.
No, I'm just actually calling it a Honda 660. So if you call it a Honda 660, you know, they did legally import Honda 600s in the 60s. So if you call it a Honda 660, well, there was a car that was legally imported and sold in the United States called a Honda 600.
Well, what about a
I
Subaru
think we should
360?
share.
The Subaru 360 was legal.
Of course.
And that has
Exactly.
half the engine of that. So,
And it's a two-stroke.
yeah.
All you have to say, if you ever want to win this argument, the best way you can win this argument is you can say Messerschmitt Kabinenroller. So, or BMW Isetta. Like, there's no way that the BMW Isetta can be remotely considered to be safer or whatever than any 660cc K truck from 30 years ago or newer. So, but it's just a bullshit thing. It's just like some senator getting a wild hair up their ass, you know, that kind of thing.
I hadn't heard of all the news articles where these things were. I mean, I know that there are issues with them that they can tip and stuff, but they're not that bad. I mean, like, take a jacked up Jeep will probably roll over faster than one of them.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I don't know if you guys can see that.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's
I don't know if it'll let me. Can you see that?
Yeah.
The inside?
It's still on the outside picture.
That's a new High Ace or a newer High Ace?
Yeah. So that's a 97, right? So that's a 97 3.0 turbo diesel, and that's the inside.
Holy shit.
Looks like the inside of a cooler.
I bet you it smells like.
looks like
I bet you if you open that, it smells like pennies and bleach.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's what that's what we're talking about. Like, as far as it being, it absolutely has a very distinctive, it has a very distinctive look to it. And, but it's got
no black lights, man. Please don't ever do that.
It's got something on the order of 5,000 watts of stereo in it. So, I think it's got 3 head units. That's looking at it from the back, pointing forward. And then up here on the roof.
I'd make Colby go in there and clean that out with some Lysol.
Yeah, I think there's a whole generation of Japanese people that were conceived in the back of this thing.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool though.
Yeah. So I was really excited about that. So that's going to be, we'll be seeing that sometime in the near future, hopefully. And so that was a good thing. And haven't been buying much in the way of motorcycles. But then today I posted up on the Facebook. Today I did buy a Jaguar.
Oh, that was you?
That's me.
I saw the picture. I didn't know if you.
Yeah.
Today,
More details.
Today you have become an asshole.
Absolutely. More details to follow. I'm only going to be able to wear these hats for the rest of my life, and gloves that have like mesh backs and no fingers. Yeah.
So did you order already your plate that says Shaggy?
Welcome to the asshole club. I joined the asshole club when I got the Corvette.
That's exactly right.
Do you have a satin jacket yet or not?
No, but I believe that in the world of Jaguar, what I need to get is a jumper like this one, but it says Jaguar across the front.
Yeah.
You're a much higher class of asshole than me, though.
You're just a geriatric.
It's a geriatric. The thing about the Jaguar,
Jean shorts wearing. You're more like the night. You're more like the polo wearing.
yeah, it's the 96. It's the 96 straight six, XJ6. So it's a couple of years after Ford started helping them along. So
Well, the 6 is
Probably better than a V12.
sure.
I love the idea and the concept of owning a V12 of anything. That whole idea is great. But remember, I ultimately want to drive it and then sell it very quickly. So the goal is to be able to drive it and sell it before something breaks that takes away the profit margin of selling it. So the XJ
Spark plugs,
the
12 of
XJ6
everything, no good.
Yeah.
The 6s are massive, though. When you look under the hood, that 6 is a massive engine.
It is. It looks like an airplane motor in there. So pretty excited about it. So, but it's a really low mileage car. It's only got about 45,000 miles on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So super crazy low. Hey guys, look at that.
Oldest daughter.
Oh yeah, back from school.
Yeah. Going back to OSU on Sunday.
Woo! Go Bucks.
Yeah.
So it was super. I mean, are you guys ready to hear the update on the world's weirdest not intentional motorcycle trip?
Yes.
Sure.
So when we booked this trip to the Virgin Islands, there were a couple of reasons we booked it. One is we figured due to COVID, there would be no cruise ships, and that the worst thing in the world about the Virgin Islands is cruise ships. So if you take the cruise ships out of the equation, the Virgin Islands should be pretty damn cool. So we got there, St. Thomas, and there was no fucking cruise ships. And it was great because like anything you wanted to do, you could do it. We got there on the 18th of December, so it was well ahead of the Christmas rush. And we had made arrangements with a motorcycle scooter rental company. And we initially were kind of shocked that it's the only place I've ever seen in the United States or any of its tributaries or whatever that you couldn't find Eagle Rider Harley Davidson rental or any like normal traditional way to rent a motorcycle. But a lot of these places that do motorcycle rental or scooter rental, which is popular, also had a couple of motorcycles hanging around. So because we decided we were going to ride two up just for the interest of one person can navigate, the other person can drive, we thought we'd do two up, and we figured we'd do the scooter because we're going to have backpacks and shit, and the scooter's going to hold more stuff. We arrived there, figured out the airport, got out of the airport, got over to Charlotte Emile, which is their kind of downtown of their main part of their island, and found the rental joint. It's literally a 6 foot by 6 foot fucking shed behind a bar. It has no address unto itself. It's a shed with a guy in the box and about a half a dozen cats. And then they've got maybe they had one scooter and then one really beat up
Are you
Honda.
watching this?
And I was like, fuck, man. And the scooter was like 6,000 miles on a 1 or 2 year old bike. So it was kind of a little bit thrashed looking. But I was like, oh, fuck it. We'll just go with it. We're only going to have it for 2 or 3 days. Then we're over to St. John's. So we jump on this bike.
What is it? A Honda PCX?
Honda PCX 150. Fuel injected, modern, not a Chinese disposable scooter by any standards. A good solid bike. We jumped on the thing and we quickly realized St. Thomas is fucking uphill and downhill and no flat. There ain't no fucking flat anywhere in the island. And I kept seeing guys on sport bikes and there ain't a quarter mile of straight anything on the entire fucking island. So if you own a bike that can go over 60 miles an hour, that is completely useless. There's nowhere you can drive over 60 miles an hour on the whole fucking island, aside from the airport you just came off of. That's it. That's the only flat spot in the whole island. So, okay, good enough. We go to the very top of the island, of course, called Mountaintop. They have the world famous banana daiquiri, which we did. And you get the Cruzan black strap float on top of the banana daiquiri. Pretty fucking good, pretty solid. And then we came down the hill. And approximately halfway down from the mountain, the Honda PCX no longer had brakes.
Oh, no.
And you can't downshift.
Yeah.
So it turns out, obviously, a lot of switchbacks, a lot of downhill.
Did
You
Fred
can't use in.
Flintstone?
What's that?
Did you Fred Flintstone it at all?
No, what I did was I was doing, I started using brake trading off. You trade off the front brake and then trade off the rear brake, right? And fortunately, they're not.
Because it was brake fade. I mean,
Yeah.
they were working, but they were
over.
fading out on.
Yeah, they were boiling over. Yeah, that was exactly right. They were overheating. And of course, when they overheat, your lever goes right to the bar. You got nothing. But then you give it some time and you can work it back up again. It'll come back eventually once it cools down. So, but the problem is there's not really a good place to pull over to the side of the road and let that truck with 5,000 gallons of water get past you. Like, they're right up your ass. They live there. They're doing their job. And I had been told by several people and read several places online, you don't want to rent a motorcycle in the Virgin Islands because you're driving on the wrong side of the road. The cars are still left-hand drive, and that everyone that's a tourist has no idea what they're fucking doing. And the roads are in very poor condition because they haven't fixed them since the 2017 Irma Maria tag team death match that tore the island a new asshole. So everyone says roads are too rough, switchbacks are too hairy. It's just not a great place for a motorcycle. Save a life, rent a Jeep. And so we had the bike reserved for the first 2 days. Went out, realized the scooter was absolutely not up to the task. Went back to the guy's place, called him up and said, hey man, we have a problem. The scooter you rented me has no brakes. We're going to get it back into you, but we need something better. And he goes, well, it just so happens I just bought 3 brand new Kawasaki KLX 300s.
Nice.
So I got a brand new KLX 300 with 211 miles on it. And I mean, it still had the new bike smell. It was perfect. I mean, the definition of perfect. There was nothing wrong with this bike. It was a brand new bike. And I have a new, complete and total new respect for the KLX 300. We renamed the bike the KL Excellent. And it was so good that we canceled the reservation for the cars because there were no cars to be had on St. John. They don't like you taking the motorcycles to St. John because the roads on St. John are worse and they're steeper. And so like the switchbacks there are truly frightening. When you're doing a switchback on St. John, you are over the handlebars. There's so many bikes I own that could not do that. They just couldn't make the turn. They would bottom out. The bikes, like, there are no cruisers. We saw one dead Honda Rebel 250. Everything else on the island that had 2 wheels was either a rusted out, chained to a tree 15 years ago scooter, or there was a Honda, like an XR400 that was all just like garbaged up. And then our KLX, and everybody was like, you're fucking crazy. You shouldn't be riding that motorcycle here. You're going to kill yourself and you're going to kill your wife. Challenge accepted.
Hold my beer.
Yes, no shit. And the island's like 12 miles long. I mean, this is not a big place, but that 12 miles is 4,000 turns and incredibly steep climbs where that if Merritt were to pull away from me for 1 second, the front wheel came up immediately. So like where her body was positioned dictated whether or not the front tire was on the ground. And we had hill climbs that we had to use in first gear that we had to start going switchback inside of that hill climb. So we started having to side cut the hill climb. And yeah, they're telling you 4-wheel drive vehicles are mandatory. It's not because of the, mud or the terrain. It's because if it's a 2-wheel drive vehicle and that front or that back starts letting go, there's nothing to keep you from sliding right down the mountain. So fucking cool. Like super duper cool. So I halfway through the trip when I was just laughing in my helmet and just screaming my guts out, they gave us helmets, by the way. The helmet's worth at least worth $1. I'm going to send the guy a box of helmets from my shop that are our test ride garbage helmets that we get when people turn bikes in. Those are 100 times better than anything he has at his place. Every helmet that was there had Ebola. It was just fucking garbage. So I really I'm 100% at this point. So this is how we lived. I don't know if this shows up. We'll see. So there's me. So behind me, you'll see the ferry. That's called the Big Red Boat, or Be Right Back. And that thing makes a 20-minute journey between St. John's and St. Thomas several times a day. You have to put your cars on that ferry by backing them on, because it's not a drive-on, drive-off ferry. It's basically just a barge. And then once the cars are all on, then they literally are like, okay, now we're going to put you between two cars. Like, I've never done a ferry like that in my life. You always put the bike up against the wall of the ferry. So if the bike falls over, it falls over into the wall of the ferry. Not on this thing. They make you put it right between the cars. On the handlebar of the bike, you're going to see the bag on the handlebars, which I now have learned that every motorcycle comes with a front luggage rack. It's called the handlebars. And that bag was our snorkels, our masks, flip-flops, sometimes our fins for snorkeling. It's amazing. At one point I had about 35 pounds of shit on my handlebars. Totally fine. And then on the back, I got my Isle of Man backpack. And then
front end down.
Yeah, helps hold the front end down. Exactly. And you don't need to see anything on your dashboard, because you can't go over 30 miles an hour anywhere. So you basically spend the entire time on the island in first gear, second gear, and maybe a tiny bit of third gear. But that bike is amazing what it can do. And so that backpack lives on the back of the bike. There's no luggage rack, but that's what the backpack's for. And then Merritt's backpack can sit right on top of that one. And that's how we did all of our heavy transitions, because Merritt and I did that entire trip for 2 weeks, each of us with one backpack. So we learned how to pack light on this trip. It was fun. It was a great time. And the whole time I was going, I was just thinking, Cleveland Moto needs to do a motorcycle trip here to that place, because even in Christmas time, the water is fucking warm. It's beautiful. The nature, you go to Lake Havasu, or you go to any place that people like boats, Mackinac Island, whatever, there's always the guy with, 57 boats that have unce, 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 and people dancing on them and shit. And it's like stereo versus stereo versus stereo versus stereo. No, on St. John's, it's silent. There's no sound, just the animals. You can hear the turtles fart anywhere on the island. And if somebody pulls up on a boat like that, within 1 minute, somebody will show up on a dinghy and be like, wow, that's great. Go back to Cruise Bay, or go to wherever it is you want to go and act that way, or go back to Red Hook. But where we are here is a national park, and it's meant to be quiet. And it shuts them right up, and they chill the fuck out. And it's amazing that you can have 20 boats all on balls, on these buoys, on these tethers, and it's fucking silent. You don't hear anything. And then you're snorkeling and diving around and seeing all kinds of cool shit, turtles, sea rays, all that stuff. But then you get on your motorcycle and you get to go to a different beach, in a different beach, in a different beach. I have ridden more miles in flip-flops in the last 2 weeks of my life than at any other point in my life. In the day one, I was like, wow, this is super duper fucked up. But by day 3, I was like, yeah, I got, that helmet you see in the picture, right? Merritt insisted on having a 3/4 helmet, and it was probably an extra large, and it only fit her when she had her hair in braids. And that, despite the complete lack of safety gear, that's how you ride. I mean, it's not smart. Like, a smart guy would have gear with him. We weren't smart. We had a backpack. So yeah, every day is a t-shirt or a rasher. Every day is just that skid lid, or that DOT shorty helmet. And, I have water shoes. I got Merrell's that I wear. and it's Merrells or flip-flops. And we've decided that they have not engineered the correct motorcycle riding shoe for the islands. And then on the last day, we discovered that they did. It's Crocs.
Oh no.
Yeah, we noticed that all the people that lived there, as we were getting ready to leave, and we saw the people that, work for a living, and we noticed they were all wearing Crocs. Like even the guys working on that fucking boat where they should be wearing steel toes are all wearing Crocs. The reason for that is the Crocs has a strap across the back. The front strap becomes the back strap. You can shift the motorcycle without it making your toes bleed. And then you can walk across the beach and all the sand and the water and stuff and the seashells will fall out of the Crocs. So you can go from beach to
what my buddy had in college. He had made a set of combat saddles. He just took his combat boots and cut the heel and a toe out of them.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, because I don't want to go open toe. So I don't want to go open toe because Renee works at my shop and she's not playing with a full deck, right? So I wanted to have the toe coverage. So I had the Merrells, which have toe coverage and they're like a fully enclosed shoe. But there were so many times when I was like, fuck, man, you just want to go onto the bike and go a short distance. And it's really, so we were like, man, there needs to be a proper riding shoe, like a riding shoe that gives you protection, but all the water and sand and salt will all fall out of it as you're riding the bike, And then we discovered it's called a Croc. So there you go. So
I have a pair of Crocs. I mean, they're not the all rubber ones, but I love them because they have a closed toe. They stay on your feet, but you can get them wet. You can get them, and they're nice.
So we ultimately had the motorcycle for 14 days. I know everyone is the next question they're going to ask is, how expensive was that? Because the way this guy does his pricing is the longer you have the bike, the less your per day charge is. We got the motorcycle down to $43 a day.
Wow.
No tax. 43 per day. So fucking amazing. Yeah, to have that motorcycle and have that kind of freedom for 43 bucks a day. Now, if you had it for 2 days, it might hurt a little bit. But having it for 14 days and just to be able to just not have to worry about, taxis or the island taxi thing. It used to be, it's a Ford van or a Ford pickup truck with a big bed on the back that holds humans. And you kind of jump on, jump off deal. And it used to be called the dollar taxi. You just give the guy $1. But now they got it all figured out where it's like, oh, well, if you're going from this designated point to this designated point, it's $5 or $6 or $7. It's not the dollar taxi. And taxis themselves, like actual taxis, that'll add up real fast. But having the motorcycle, absolute godsend. Totally freaking love that bike. I mean, that bike.
I saw you also had another vehicle that you rented, though, the Whaler.
We did the Whaler. So we rented the Whaler for a day because, again, as Merritt says, I can rent all the boats I want, not allowed to own any boats. So we rented a Whaler, and you can rent it's St. John. It's pretty quiet. It's pretty laid back, but they're like main little strip where they have 4 or 5 restaurants. There's some rental places out there. You can rent a dinghy, and it's an inflatable, semi-rigid inflatable, maybe 12 feet long or whatever, with a little 10 horse on the back, and that's fine. But then I saw all these Whalers lined up, and the Whalers were called Thing 1, Thing 2, Thing 3, and Thing 4, and I was like, okay, yeah, you got me now. So we called the guy, and they're very fucking careful. Like, they don't want you can't drop an anchor anywhere on the coral, right? So there's about 1 million rules. You got to watch a video. It's a very good video. And you basically are renting the thing for about 8 hours, right? But I knew it was going to be fun because the Whalers were 15 feet long, but they had a 60 horsepower 4-stroke fuel injected motor on the back.
Yeah.
If anybody knows anything about boats, that's 3 times more motor than you should ever have on that boat for anything. Like
Maybe 2 times more.
yeah.
So that's what Whalers are built for. I mean, they're center console, they're open ocean type boats. They're not real big, but they're sturdy, they're unsinkable, and you can put the biggest motor on them you want.
This thing was hilarious because when it was just sitting at the dock and just waiting for us, it had the biggest, there's just like, it was like, I'm here, right? But with that motor on it, at not even half throttle, we were barely touching the water. Like the hull was barely in contact, having it trimmed out. It was fantastically fast. Then at one point I was like, well, this is great. We're making great time. I'm going to give it full throttle. I gave it full throttle. I'm never doing that again. Never, ever again. Way too much motor. The boat was legit. The only thing in the water was the propeller because I felt the entire boat doing this number. And I was like, if it's doing that, that means there's no water touching the bottom of it. That means it's just a hydrofoil at that point.
You're a cigarette boat.
Yeah.
You're a race boat.
I've watched enough YouTube videos to know that the next thing that happens after that is that, you know? Yeah. So I was like, okay.
You had Barrett working the throttle for you. You just steer.
It was so fucking fun. It was so much fun. It was ridiculous. And of course, you know, it's a national park, so they've got these buoys everywhere that you tie into. You never drop anchor anywhere on the island whatsoever. But the buoys are all located where you want to go snorkeling. So you just pull up. It doesn't cost you a nickel. You've got the boat. And there's some, you know, fucking judge from Connecticut on a 120-foot whatever the fuck, and got his, you know, bevy of babes on there. And then to your left is, you know, the Shah of Oman or somewhere. And then you pull up on a 15-foot fucking whaler with a little black bimini top on it. It was so much fun. It was awesome. It was the best time ever. And then we were able to just go to all the right spots to go snorkeling. So it was great. And they give you a snorkeling map too. So they give you a snorkeling map and they're like, yeah, go here, 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 and here. And by the time it was, you know, 45 minutes away from us turning the boat in, we were on the wrong side of the island and had to have, you know, maximum enthusiasm getting back to the dock. And it was fun. I mean, it was really fun. It was not this pontoon boat on Pymatuming kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This was like, we might actually fucking hurt ourselves. So it was cool. And then we got to explore some old ruins from the old Dutch sugarcane days. But then we got to explore some ruins from way back in the year of our Lord 2017, Hurricane Irma. Made a couple of resorts into ghost towns, but they're there. And you can pull right up on the beach. And yeah, we did that. And that's a lot of fun because, you know, it's just these places are just gutted. But you could tell that it was a baller resort, Keneal Island and stuff like that. Super neat Keneal Resort. But
no way to rehab them. They were done.
They're done. Yeah. When you're on the island and you look up the hillside and 40 or 50 feet up the hillside, you see a boat that couldn't possibly get up that hillside. You know that it got up there with the help of a 40-foot surge, you know? And that's not uncommon. That's pretty usual because
if you went and rehabbed one of those, you're just waiting for the next 40-foot surge to wipe it out.
I totally agree. Yeah.
It's in the wrong place.
It's in the wrong place. Yeah.
Hey, where'd you find the donkeys?
Oh my God. Thanks. Yeah. I did not know this, but apparently on St. John's.
Did you rent the donkeys?
I did not rent the donkeys, but the donkeys kept showing up. So we were convinced. We were a little bit concerned that maybe it was kind of a practical joke, or maybe we thought the tourism department was involved because we saw these T-shirts in places that had like a donkey, and it was like St. John's donkey. And but we hadn't ourselves seen the donkeys yet until we started taking the motorcycle further and deeper into the island. And we come around this corner at like a speed that would be a cautious speed because as soon as we got to the apex of the turn, 6 fucking donkeys. And the donkeys don't give a shit. Like they're straight up. And then I found out 2 days later that they love pizza crusts. And so that's a pro move. I don't eat pizza crusts on most pizzas, so I was saving them for the fish. So when I'd go snorkeling, we could chum the water and get all the cool fish to come out for the pizza crusts. Well, when we saw these donkeys at the one beach, we were like, let's see if they like pizza crust. Well, the thing is, we had 3 donkeys to start with, which I had enough pizza crust for 3 donkeys. I did not have enough pizza crust for 6 donkeys. And so the donkeys quickly exhausted my supply of pizza crust. My exit strategy was brilliant. I retreated to the sea, and it turns out the donkeys don't like the sea, so that was good. And then I got away from the donkeys. But the donkeys were pretty chill. It was pretty nice. I was able to pet a few of them. You know, it's nice if you have never petted a wild donkey before. That's kind of fun. Mongoose. a mongoose and an iguana are the same animal. One has fur, one doesn't. Just chew on that. They're both relatively the same size. They move exactly the same. I don't know what noise an iguana makes, but I know a mongoose makes horrible noises when it's messed up with a cat. So like we stayed in a tree house, and our house had no hot water unless you like ordered it up 15 minutes in advance. We had no television. It was perfect. But we had nature 360 degrees. So fuck a chicken, or I should say fuck a rooster. The rooster's going off at 4:20 in the morning. Okay. They started going off at 2:15 in the morning. And that's it. No, I can't take that. So the place we were staying, the guy at the bottom of the hill had the pellet gun, and he was doing rooster control. So he was trying to keep the rooster count to a minimum so we'd have a better time. Fucking great, awesome, but they're really loud. And then I didn't find out when a mongoose and a cat start having words. No, that's really ugly. Nobody's going to sleep that night. So yeah. And also iguanas are suicidal. So if you're riding a motorcycle, the iguanas are like, and they wait until you are within eye shot and you're looking at the side of the road and you're kind of like, I think that's an iguana. And just by the time you say that, he starts running, and they run and their front feet don't touch the ground because they have so much power in the back legs, I guess. So they just skim. In the first one, we hit it pretty good. Merritt says, I don't think it died. And I think it died.
If you say so.
If a 2-pound iguana can slow down a KLX 300, it died. You know, that's it. I mean, like I know that there's iguana parts in that bike. There's no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
But did you see a mongoose named Ricky that took out a python or a?
No, we did not see Ricky Tiki Tavi.
Okay, just asking.
But when we were up by the windmills and stuff, and we're walking around, and we kept seeing these mongooses running around, and Merritt was like, "Oh, they're so cool, and that's great." And I was like, "Yeah," I said, "except for if you read that story about them, it'll make you cry, you know." And she's like, "What do you mean?" And I had to tell her the story of Ricky Tiki Tavi, and she was like, "I vaguely remember that." And I was like, "What kind of childhood did you have?"
Right.
Like, that's the old yeller of
I'm in a quandary.
What's that?
I'm in a quandary. One of our podcast listeners, aka one of our podcasters, brought us all a Christmas present, and I thought I would share it with everybody on the podcast tonight. And this was going to be my drink of choice, but unfortunately, that podcaster is not with us at the moment. So I don't know. Am I allowed to open this so I have a drink? Do I have to go back in the house and get something?
2 thumbs up. Go for it.
No.
I say the gift to all of us would be you to consume most of that. That would be the gift. Yeah.
Hey,
So Nick's not here,
Phil,
but
you
when
got
he
to
was
tell
in
us
town,
about the
he
treehouse
brought this
too.
up.
Yeah, I'll
Well,
give you guys a full
I'm
report
wrapping
on the treehouse and stuff.
It's like putting Amsoil in a Kia.
Soil in the Kia.
Oh,
This is what Nick got us.
Oh my! Rally Rum Company.
Yeah.
Aged for over 2 months.
Yeah.
In the sea.
So, not that I peeked in the bag, but I happen to have some of this cold pressed banana, coconut,
Yeah. Perfect.
You're a fucking savage.
little mixer here. So
You're fucking savage.
I'm going to help myself
Ooh.
hey, speaking
make
of
myself a drink.
savages, who's the baddest, most awesome guy that has a car hauler that's flat with a truck that can pull about 700 pounds? Anybody?
What's that?
I need my paint shed moved. I'm to the point now with my old house.
Yeah.
I have to move my glued together 7 by 7 by 9 foot paint shed.
7 by 7 by 9. So
Oh,
9's the tall.
yeah. So so it won't fit inside the KROMPKE Memorial trailer.
no.
But we'll just rent a flat trailer. We'll just get a U-Haul.
If I rent a car hauler, can somebody use their truck?
Well, I've got all kinds of trucks. I mean, we got all kinds of shit you can use.
Okay.
Dude, yeah, we'll come out and do it. We'll attack this bitch.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna set this up because I have to sell my old house this week.
Yeah, set it up absolutely, and then we'll just go over there, and I can get the van. The van will pull any goddamn thing, and then does anybody have a flat utility trailer that'll fit a 7x7 base?
I mean, it doesn't have to be 7 feet wide because we can put 2x4s underneath it. It's only about 360 pounds.
Yeah,
I have an 8-foot. I have an 4x8, which
Yeah.
you can use. But
Let me talk to my friend Harry, see if he's still got his big utility trailer.
yeah, because I mean, worst case scenario of all worst case scenarios is we go to U-Haul and get that, get the trailer at U-Haul and for a couple of bucks, and we do it that way.
Okay.
We don't. I mean, the car hauler trailer is, it's kind of perfectly flat. Car hauler trailer is nice if you happen to be hauling a car, but
Right, but I also need that.
Yeah.
So so I really didn't want to ask you guys to help me with 90% of it because we're all not 50 and pizza and beer doesn't work anymore. But now I'm to the point where I actually need help with this one. This one I
Right.
can't do by myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, we could give it the HOFFERT treatment and just burn it down.
Nick's
But
not acid. Do you have like acetylene torches in there because it makes them go faster?
it does make it go faster.
I'll make it happen.
That's cool. Yeah, I think we can do that. I don't think there's any reason why we can't. I mean, if
So, Phil,
we can use, if we use Steve's 4x8 trailer, right?
Yeah, we can make it happen.
I can take the sides off of it. I mean,
Yes.
that's not a problem.
Yeah. All right.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah,
Phil, you were gone for what, 2.5 weeks?
I was gone for a little over 2 weeks, yeah. And
So how did the shop do? So you have trusted Compra.
yeah, they did great. So while I was gone, the record. So this December, we set a shop record, and that is we sold 1 bike per day every day we were open.
I don't remember that.
So, and for anybody in the motorcycle industry, in December, that's fucking unheard of. So yeah, we killed it. We did a great job. And yesterday, I sold 4 bikes. So stuff that I'd lined up while I was on my trip and stuff, and just had stuff circling back. It's a very strange and powerful time in the motorcycle industry right now.
But you said you bought a weird bike, though, didn't you?
That I bought a weird bike.
Did you say you bought a bike?
No, I didn't. I haven't.
Oh,
gotten
that was the space van.
Yeah, Space Van. I got what ultimately ended up buying this week was I bought the Jag. I bought that today. I bought a supercharged Previa. Yeah, that's special. And then I bought a turbo diesel all-wheel drive Previa. Now these are all Estimas, but in America they're called Previas. And so I got a turbo diesel all-wheel drive Previa, a supercharged two-wheel drive Previa. I got the High Ace Astronaut rape van, and I got the Jaguar. So the funny thing was
Tell me about where's the Jaguar coming from? Japan,
yeah,
or that was local?
Japan.
Oh,
It's coming from Japan. So
So
that
the
is
steering is on the other side?
yeah, because England and Japan both drive on the wrong side of the road. So British cars are popular in Japan, and that's why. So we can all be very happy, though, that I didn't buy what I was gonna buy. You guys, some of you may have seen what I was thinking about buying, but I didn't buy the 1986 Rolls-Royce hearse. And that decision right there is something that I will live to be thrilled that I did. Because despite the fact that it was already in the United States, a 1986 Rolls-Royce hearse with less than 40,000 miles on it, yeah, that's a tough one. So, but yeah, that's one that I'm very happy that I didn't commit to and or buy that hearse, because I think ultimately that would have been a lifetime of regret. I don't think there's a chance.
There's got to be a reason why it only had 40,000 miles on it.
Well, I mean, it's a fucking hearse. I mean, we know the way that usually plays out, but that.
Good luck buying parts for a Rolls-Royce, though. I mean, if anything's wrong with it.
That's exactly right. That is absolutely right. And I did all the research on that car, and I really was careful. I was thinking about buying it. The price was buyable. It wasn't fuck you awful. It was a purchasable thing. The good news is I went on to enough websites and watched a few old Top Gear videos and stuff like that. And if one thing goes wrong with that, and apparently valve train issues can be a problem, that is a 6.75 liter Rolls-Royce engine. She is not cheap to keep running, especially not in this country where we don't have an excess of Rolls-Royce technicians. So I think in the long run, I'm going to be pretty goddamn happy I don't have a 1986 Rolls-Royce hearse, even though I am completely fascinated with the idea. There you go.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Yeah, right?
It'd be perfect to drop like a 350 in there.
So, yeah, I didn't. So, Steve, I'm glad you.
You'd have to get a mannequin of Princess Diana and put in the back.
Too soon.
Wow.
Permanent installation.
You're right. That car would just be called Lady Di.
Lady died.
Lady died. Yeah. So that's exactly what that is. Yeah, that's what that car is right there. And oh yeah, cool.
There you go.
So our podcaster also got us a card. Should I open the card since I already opened the bottle?
Yep.
Nick, since you're joining us, I'm sharing your present with everybody right now.
Yeah, oh, did you already opened the? Did you see what the
Raleigh rum.
Oh, nice.
He's mixing it with like poop.
Yeah.
I just happen to have this perfect mixer. I didn't look inside first. I kept it a surprise, but I did just magically have a good mixer to go with it. This is the card. Oh, that's upside down.
Is that Tanukis?
But it has everybody's name on a penguin.
Ah, nice.
Oh,
Oh,
You
shit.
can see your name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
That's pretty cool.
And
They
the
kind of look like Tanukis.
is
Oh,
drinking.
wow. All the money just fell out. It says Cleveland Moto Podcast. To this cause, I have donated a brown liquor some locals created, a questionable rum. You know where it's from. 3 stars is how it was rated. Have a fun-filled holiday. Merry Christmas. Have fun. Stay safe. And it's from Nick DiVito.
Fantastic, man.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick. Merry Christmas.
That's very cool.
And I promise whatever's left of the rum will make it to the next podcast.
Right, exactly.
1 star for you.
Speaking of the holiday,
Say Nick for nothing.
I dropped 5 Moto Stories right before Christmas and then on Christmas. And they all did really well, but people are super stoked about Johnny's Honda Whisperer thing.
Very cool.
We've had at least 4, we've had 9 emails, 4 of which are actually good questions and not things about his butthole.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to schedule a thing this coming week to have John and possibly Phil, if we can, do the.
I wouldn't mind having some backup on that.
Yep. And then we also have to do Motor Stories because people are like very upset that we've skipped 3 weeks.
Well, what we're going to do is I decided that we are going to do a Moto Stories. I'm going to do a Moto Stories with Dr. Waters about our trip to the Virgin Islands because it's really too much to just cover on a pod, like try to go through everything on a podcast.
That's a good idea.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of things that happened. There's a lot of moving parts. If somebody were thinking about making that trip, it is not something TripAdvisor will tell you about, but to a person who's a motorcycle rider, to somebody who likes a challenge, this could be a very fun motorcycle trip for 2 or 3 people in dirt bikes to go have fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So I think that's worthy of having a Moto Story. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'm looking forward to that. We will shoot that next week, maybe.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. So just to bring you guys up to speed a little bit about why we're not at the shop right now is that Sparky, our head mechanic, and Kobe, a few weeks ago, a tree fell on Kobe's fiance's dad's house. And this is a house that Sparky had just lovingly put a new roof on.
Oh.
And so this monster tree falls on, and it's an all hands on deck situation. And they responded out most Ricky Tick with chainsaws and ladders and other implements of destruction. And they got out there and cut that fucking tree apart and got the house, freed up from the tree. But I mean, this tree, not only did it bash through the corner of the house, but it actually came into the bedroom window. There's a big tree. So a lot of work. So they went out and they busted ass getting this tree sorted out. The downside is they're of a certain persuasion of believer that does not get a COVID vaccine. Okay. And so it turns out, while they were over there all working their tails off, cutting up this tree, they got COVID, or the people who owned the house gave them COVID. And it's kind of like, I classify that as the guy who covers up the zombie bite. It's bad. And so what happened is, now all through the holidays, the tree thing happened before the holidays. And this whole thing had a chance to just kind of get booted around to each other. And nobody was feeling particularly ill, but they all still had their holiday get-togethers. And so they had their holiday get-togethers, and then they had their New Year's get-togethers, and people went bowling and et cetera. So the long and short of it is, our mechanic and Kobe, Sparky's in bad shape. He's having a really rough time of it. So I believe his wife, who's in the healthcare industry, I believe she's also tested hot. But so we're treating my shop right now like a bit of a hot zone, right? We're not taking any fucking chances, because it'd be one thing for James to take a hit. It'd be another thing for me to take a hit. Lord knows they do great without me for 14, 16 days. Everybody was happy. And, but we all know that we don't want Renee to take a hit. And we just can't have that. So we're being a little careful, just a little bit. And we'll see. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully we can kind of cruise through that and, let the numbers do what the numbers are going to do. And hopefully we'll be back to live and in person before too long.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a motorcycle question. Have any of you guys? I mean, I try not to spend a lot of time in Facebook or whatever the fuck new name they're calling it right now. But have you guys been getting a lot of advertisement for the Sondors?
Yes.
Okay. Because I started diving into it, it's like, this is sketchy as fuck. I mean, it's a sponsored fucking like advertisement of the new bike. Mm-hmm. And then I saw that they had the LA motorcycle show in like late November, early December, or whatever time frame.
Right.
And I started looking that they were having discussions because they're trying to increase the cost of the bike, because they originally quoted it for $5,000 for an 80 mile an hour, 80 mile range e-bike. Right.
Yeah.
So now they're saying maybe it's going to jump to 6,500. Mm-hmm. And that's why they're advertising in Facebook that, pre-reg right now, so you can, or put your $100 down payment so you can lock in your $5,000 cost of the bike and not get the.
I looked into that and I found no way to do the $100 down. They wanted 5 payments and they wanted you to pay the full amount.
Well, and it's maybe it's in the fine print, because then I got another advertisement for their other version, the Mad Mods, like the moped smaller bike, and it says just the first payment of $300 to lock it in. So maybe they're doing the same thing with the other ones. Like, do a 100 the first payment for $100 just to lock it in. But maybe in the fine print it says that it has to be.
I couldn't find a way to just do $100 down, because I would have probably given them the $100.
Well, look on Facebook, because that's where they're advertising. But yeah, it might be just, it says the first payment of 5 they have to do for locking it down.
Yeah, I have not heard anything. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it to suggest that, it's real and it's coming to dealers' shelves now, because I don't think their intention is to do a dealer network. I think they're just going to direct sell them.
Direct.
So
I
yeah,
think the batteries probably cost them $5,000.
Well, that's the problem, because that they showed the bike, or they had a bike in the LA show, which they had already had some changes of the DOT or whatever US regulation stuff for the mirrors and reflectors and the turn signals and all the stuff that doesn't look like it used to. But it at least they had the one bike that obviously you can't turn on or touch or get really close and personal, because you know how that goes. But yeah,
Right.
It was kind of interesting to see that there was creeping up in their advertisement to it. So if it was, I mean, I'm not saying it's not vaporware, but
right.
they're pushing it really hard for getting I'm guessing more people to fund their project to see if it's going to actually happen or not.
Well, in that regard, did you guys check out the link I sent about the Stark Varg, the dirt bike that can be? It's only 290 pounds, but it can act like a 125cc two-stroke. Like it has 100 different settings. So you can make it a 125 two-stroke. You can make it a 450 four-stroke. And apparently it lasts as long as one tank of gas, like at any of the bikes that are considered. And then once you're done, it takes 2 hours to charge to full capacity on a level 2 charger. Which is
So I had looked at that very closely because the initial numbers that came out about it, a lot of times with these electric motorcycles and electric cars right now, the marketing department is putting out some mathematic numbers that violate principles of Ohm's law. They violate principles of weight, storage, and space. 22 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag, this kind of thing. And so when I looked at that, and that dirt bike has been virtually reviewed by a lot of resources. Okay. Like a lot of people, journalists have hailed this thing as the second coming of Christ.
But have you seen the riding videos where it's flying like over triples and stuff? It looks pretty good, man.
Oh, KTM's got an electric that does really, really well. So it's not out of the realm. And I do like the idea that it's designed specifically for competition off-road use. And that right there is going to be the difference between the Sondors and anything else. When you try to get a DOT homologation sticker on your vehicle that says you can actually participate in road going activities, you're going to be going over 25 miles per hour, you're going to be in traffic. Well, then the bike becomes a hell of a lot more expensive to build. Because you can lie all you want about how your bike meets the DOT rating, but sooner or later, it's going to have to be NHTSA approved. And that's going to be the stumbling block for making things an actual road legal motorcycle. And yeah, we know here in Cleveland, we got a bike called the Land. It's, $6,000-$7,000. It claims to be the next, we saw them when we were down at the fuel show. Right. And they were ripping them down the street, doing wheelies on them and having a great time doing burnouts. It's cool, but you can't hang a license plate on it. It's not a DOT approved vehicle. What I like about the dirt bike is the dirt bike isn't trying to be a DOT approved vehicle.
Right.
It does not. And I did look it up. It does not have, the charger is not in the bike. So if you can take the charger out of the bike, you're making the bike a lot lighter.
Right.
And because it has an off-bike level 2 charging system available, that's the secret. So, you can get really, really good charging speeds, but the bike has to go back to wherever the charger is, So it's cool, but it is more of a tool at that point. It's more of a weapon.
Well, it's a dirt bike. It's like, people don't buy a RM or a CRF 125 to possibly ride on the street.
That's right.
They're taking it to the track. So
I think that's the deal. I think that idea is, I'm not going to try to ride this thing to work and charge it when I get to work, right? I'm not going to try to ride this thing to Walmart and charge it when I get to Walmart. When you say something is purpose built, I couldn't hear you, Nick. Oh, nothing. Okay. Yeah, I was just like, the thing with Energica, the thing with the Harley, the Livewire, the thing with Zeros, all of them have onboard charging. All of them have a charging system that works level 1, level 2, some level 3. And that charging system can be everything from, this big, this long, and this wide to very big, very long, and very wide. And just the space alone, just the fucking charger, you wouldn't want to have that on your dirt bike. So to keep the dirt bike light and to keep it doing the things it needs to do, it basically has to be a Milwaukee drill. Big fucking battery, big fucking motor, and a motor transportation system.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was saying that it would only work if you also have a charger at work and you also have a charger at your friend's house and you
Everywhere. Yeah.
Well, could you carry the charger in a backpack though? I mean, if you really had to go, no.
I tried that. So when the German company brought out the A2Bs, which was a very powerful, very high-end bicycle that, you know, in the hands of a licensed dealer could be de-restricted and in that neighborhood of 50 miles per hour, the charger is pretty fucking big. And if you did have the charger in a backpack, you would not want to fall down with that charger in the backpack, because that charger is case of beer size. And even on those ATBs, which were a 36 volt system, that charger was still big enough that you wouldn't want to carry it in a backpack, you know? So, you know, it's totally practical, but I think the secret is keeping that off-road status, because the second you try to put it on road, Energica just announced today that they were raising the price of their bikes $1,000 per bike. That in and of itself, we understand things are getting more expensive to build, logistics, what have you, but they've also taken 1% of the profit margin away from the dealers.
I think it's a lithium cost. Isn't the lithium cost like through the roof?
I don't know.
It's a
I don't.
bunch of
I just know what relates to the dealership, and I know that when you tell me that I'm going to have to ask my customer for $1,000 more to buy the bike, but then I'm also going to have to give up one whole percentage of my margin. You know, look, on an electric bike, it's really hard to make money because you have to make it all on the front end, because these things aren't coming back into the service department. So it's going to be a tough one.
I set an alarm. It's time for a Chris Smith joke.
Oh, nice.
I was wondering though if I could read the back of this bottle real quick,
Yeah,
because it's kind of funny.
And that'll give Chris enough time to get his joke ready. So yeah.
Nice.
So it says 300 years ago, the majority of spirits in North Carolina were consumed by pirates. Today, the majority of spirits in North Carolina are consumed by one of our taste testers, John. Just like the pirates of old, John can be dark with a sweet side. He likes to enjoy his premium sweet dark rum while firing a musket into the air and petting a kitten. Be more like John by enjoying this smooth or straight up. Very nice.
Very nice.
The internet is as slow as he is.
Wow.
All right, Smith, this is your moment to shine.
You want to hear a joke?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
A guy walks into a bank and says to the teller at the window, "I want to open a fucking checking account." To which the lady replies, "I beg your pardon, what did you say?" He says, "Listen up, damn it. I said I want to open up a checking account right now." "I'm sorry, sir, we don't tolerate that kind of language in this bank." The teller left the window, went over to get the bank manager, and told him about the situation. They both returned, and the manager asked, "So what seems to be the problem here?" "There's no damn problem," the man says. "I just won $50 million in the lottery, and I want to open up a fucking checking account in this damn bank." "I see, sir," said the manager. "And this bitch is giving you a hard time?"
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Under the bus she goes.
Oh,
Ain't that the case?
you didn't.
What kind of fucking checking account would you like to open?
All right, I got another one for you.
Hold on. Beatrice, who was 8 today, said that was not funny.
Okay.
8 years old.
Well, then I can hold off.
Oh, go ahead. I covered her ears.
Earmuffs.
So a New York divorce lawyer died and arrives at the pearly gates. St. Peter asks him, "What have you done to merit entrance into heaven?" The lawyer thought for a moment and then said, "A week ago, I gave a quarter to a homeless person on the street." St. Peter asked Gabriel to check this out on the record. And after a moment, Gabriel affirmed that this was actually true. St. Peter says, "Well, that's fine, but it's not really quite enough to get you into heaven." The lawyer says, wait, there's more. 3 years ago, I also gave a homeless person a quarter. St. Peter nodded to Gabriel, who after a moment nodded back, affirming this too was true. St. Peter then whispered to Gabriel, "Well, what do you suggest we do with this fellow?" Gabriel gave the lawyer kind of a sidelong glance and said to St. Peter, "Let's give him back his 50 cents and send him to hell."
I like that one.
Those are all that's for all you lawyers out there.
I like that. That's fantastic. I approve.
I'm very upset by that joke.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
it.
The
I have the one more question about the electric bikes. Yeah, I don't know if the Grumpy Sir guy, I don't know if we talked about this bike, and apparently there's two versions. I thought it was just the one. The BMW's, the CE04. It looks like a fucking ruckus in steroids.
yeah,
And then
it does.
Apparently there's a Serial 2 that I didn't know about. So it's a smaller version of it. It looks like a moped, but it's still it's not as goofy looking as the 04, but
Oh yeah,
but that was supposed to be like 12 grand.
the
for the 04.
the CE04 is bonkers. I mean,
it's
it
supposed
is.
to come out this year. Well,
Yeah.
all of those are supposed to be coming out this year.
Well, so the CE04 is 11,795 buckaroonies,
Mhm.
right? I mean, that's crazy. And if you want,
Woof.
I'll share the screen here real quick, just so you can see it.
And it's supposed to do like 80 miles an hour,
Yeah,
80-mile range.
yeah.
So that's a BMW, right?
That's a BMW,
It's a BMW. Yeah.
and it looks insane.
Looks like one of those C3s.
It's all over the place. It does. It looks like a C3. It's, you notice on the back end, its primary is belt drive. So it's
Yeah.
got a centrally mounted motor with a belt drive and exterior mounted belt drive. So the
There's
belt-
like the side covers,
Yeah.
those flop down, and that's where you put your helmet in there.
Yeah.
That's all hollow.
It's
It's
crazy.
weird. It's weird looking.
Yeah, it is an absolutely crazy machine. And again, I love it. I just completely love it. I think it's beautiful because it is so fucking different, you know? And when you have something that's that different, god damn it, good job. I mean, look at this thing. It is fucking weird.
Man, it's
I don't see
still
the comfort
BMW,
on
though.
that seat though. That looks like some cafe racer bullshit seat. Though.
It is some cafe. This is
That
what
looks like
happened.
a Boomerland seat.
Yeah.
This is literally Judge Dredd
Yes.
meets, cafe racer culture thing.
Yeah.
I don't hate it at all. I really, really, really like it. But again, I
the
applaud
helmet,
it.
yeah.
That's the helmet container.
Yep.
And like it has these wings back here. These wings that look like they're on a speeder bike that
Yeah.
you'd expect to see a stormtrooper on, right? A biker scout on. And these look like, air dams, or they're not. They're not at all. It's this panel right here that opens up. So it's very fucking weird. I like it better in white.
Yes.
Yeah. It
So-
looks way more chappy. Like I want to see
Deontford?
Yeah, Diane Wood fucking riding that with chappy.
Exactly.
on the back of it.
Yeah, that would be.
Look at the rear wheel.
Yeah.
Like, is that light shining through like a waffle
No.
mesh?
No, I
it's
think it's
paint.
painted on.
It's painted. It's
Yeah, those are
a
dots.
solid one.
Solid disc.
That thing's gonna be a blast in a crosswind.
Yes, it is. It's going to suffer from the the Harley Fat Boy disease. But like changing a belt on it should be goddamn easy.
Oh, but look down a little bit. They have some holes in that wheel. Look at that.
No, it's paint. It's paint.
Now those are painted.
Oh, it's paint. Okay.
Yeah, those are painted. Yeah.
Hey, do you guys want to feel really good about yourselves?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Do you remember when we talked about the Honda Navi and how we thought it was pretty much like nobody gave a fuck?
Right.
So all the reviews have been like, oh my God, this is the greatest bike ever. This is what we've been waiting for, a sub $2,000 bike, whatever. Revzilla came out, and the boys from Revzilla were like, the truth about the Honda Navi.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Like they went through and they were like, I told all my friends who've been riding for 30 years about this bike, and they were all like, next.
Yeah.
I think we exactly said. We said like, okay, whatever. It's a Wildcat from 2008. Like, who gives
It's a Chinese scooter Grom.
Yeah.
With less horsepower than a Buddy, worse frame than a Buddy, worse brakes than a Buddy. And my thing is, bring it out and we'll take a Buddy 125cc scooter and do everything it can do better.
Yeah. And so
on a 14-year-old Buddy that you can buy for $600.
But I really appreciate the fact that Revzilla, who sells Honda parts and everything else, we're like, no, we're not going to go fuck you guys. It sucks.
Here's to them. Here's to them for being the only one, because every other article that I've read, it just reads like it's on the back of the fucking brochure.
Yeah, it is. It's like people are like, they got a straight up boner. They took Viagra over a fucking scooter that you could get anywhere else for $400 and fucking hate it.
And every article that I've read, they're also giving a review on a bike they didn't ride.
You're right. Right.
So the reviews are all written, but there's not a single like, okay, so where's the picture of you riding the bike? You know? But that's just, and that's where we're at. We're in an internet age right now where nobody fact checks any fucking thing. And you can just be like, okay, just get it to the internet as fast as possible. Get the Instagram fired up, get the TikTok fired up. And let's make sure we're there and that we can say there's 400 reviews that all give this thing 5 stars, right?
Yeah, pre-order everything that doesn't even exist. The same with the fucking video games. There's this pre-order shit, and it's like it's not even finished.
Yeah. Wait for it to show up. The in right now, it's like we're at a point right now where over the next couple of years, I think it's going to be a make it or break it type situation. A lot of that stuff's going to get filtered out. And we saw that stuff over the past couple of 3 years. All these products that were supposed to be out, you know, Damon and all this different stuff that people were very excited about and thought it was going to be available. Look, I'm supposed to be driving a Cybertruck right now. Yeah.
Did you see that GM?
Yeah.
Did you see the numbers for GM and their electric vehicles that they sold in 2001?
No.
They sold 26 Bolts and 1 Hummer.
In 2021?
2021.
So they sold 27 vehicles.
Yeah. 1 Hummer. Only one of those Hummer electrics.
Livewire said they were the best selling electric motorcycle, and they said all these things. But the second it came out that there was a recall and they had to admit how many actually got sold, it was like the number that they sold cross country of Livewire bikes, like the Harley Davidson, the one electric Harley Davidson you could buy, was less than one model that Zero does. Like take your pick. It doesn't matter which model it is. Like, and they claimed
GM was just overtaken by Toyota. In 90 years, they've been the most prolific seller of vehicles. Toyota just beat them this year.
Yeah, and I think Hyundai's up there too. I think Hyundai. I was shocked to find out that that it was the number 4 selling platform on planet Earth for 4-wheel vehicles. Yeah, it was shocking to me to find out how many Hyundais they sold.
How does like Harley get away with like giving those shitty ass numbers and get away with it?
It's this whole thing of you can say something like, oh, the Livewire is the number 1 selling electric motorcycle. And you just say it. And we are in a country right now where nobody has to back up anything they say. And you make that statement and you put it in an advertising block, and there's like 17, little tiny asterisks at the bottom. And you can't even read it.
And people just repeat the same shit over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just it. And it's like, okay, it sounds good to say it. We're going to get up on the podcast. We're going to get up in media and people are going to say it. And we're going to generate buzz over something when we're not even making enough of them to make homologation in racing classes and shit like that. So yeah, it's I hate to say it, but we've allowed ourselves to get to the point where like we're so easily convinced. you know? So, you know,
I
it's
was
just-
never easily convinced.
Yeah.
I said all along that they weren't selling any of those fucking things.
Yeah.
They weren't building them. It was all just a fucking scam.
well, and now they're not selling them for $10,000 less. So they've taken the price, they've reduced the price by $10,000, and they're still not selling as many as they didn't sell before.
Right. So talking about homologization or whatever the fucking word is.
What's that word again?
I don't know. The H word, right?
The H word.
Sure.
I sent a text. I don't know if you guys saw it, but did you guys see that on Bring a Trailer, a 1993 900RR with 5,200 miles in mint condition sold
Okay.
for $50,512 on Bring a Trailer. I own 9 of those motherfuckers. I had 3 of that exact bike that I gave away for $2,000.
How many of them ended up pristine though?
Well, no. Well, actually,
I was sleepy riding it.
well, no, my 98, the one that I built from the ground up and like kissed every fucking section of it, I sold that one for $6,500 mint. It was a rare rep. The guys from Repsol gave me stickers that were not available to the public to put on it to make it a Repsol bike. And I sold that for $6,800.
Yeah.
And this fucking standard ass 93 fucking red, white, and blue 900RR,
Right.
5,000 miles. It wasn't like out of the crate. Some fucker rode it for a while, sold for $50,530 some fucking dollars. That's
That's funny because I was on Marketplace and I saw a red, white, and blue 900RR, pristine condition, beautiful looking bike. The guy was asking $4,500 for it, and I think it was like 18,000 miles on it. I almost sent it to you just because I'm like, wow, look how clean, this is a nice bike for $4,500.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like now, I'm starting to think like the game might be to buy some of those bikes, pull them in, clean them up more, and then put them on Bring a Trailer.
Yeah.
For some reason, rich assholes go to Bring a Trailer and not
Yeah.
Craigslist. Apparently.
Yeah, I'd like you to stop saying that because that's been my secret for a few years now.
Okay, well, I didn't say that. I'm sorry. I meant eBay. eBay is where all these things are going on.
I'd like to think that I've had that Bring a Trailer thing on lockdown for a while
Yeah.
because I've exploited it several times to sell motorcycles where I list something on eBay and I get the bike up to like $6 or $7 grand on eBay and then I put it up on Bring a Trailer. Now on Bring a Trailer, you got to have like 100 photographs, right?
Oh, you
and
got to put some work in. There's work involved.
And they write the copy. So like sometimes they fuck it up, but whatever. But they write the copy. They really do make it sound great. They sell the fuck out of it. And in a world where the prevailing vehicle being sold is a vintage Porsche, a Honda CB750 for $8,000 seems like a steal,
Right.
So it's very easy to get people to throw macaroni and cheese money around at the Barrett Jackson auction. And, you just got to find, my buddy says, get chased by a better class of dog. And that's to be said. If you want to sell a $5,000 bike for $7,000, sell it where they're selling $500,000 Dodge Chargers,
Right.
Yep. Because for people like that, the price of that motorcycle, that's like the seat in the back of their fucking Roadster.
Right. You're right. And it's crazy to see bikes that were like we gave each other. Like literally, like, oh, your bike broke. Here, I have another one. Take my other one. You're
Absolutely.
fine. Sell for $50,000 fucking dollars, man. That's insane.
Yeah, RC51s right now, I'm seeing RC51s for $13,000, $14,000, $15,000.
Oh, if you have the Nikki Hayden fucking one with the fire chicken on the side of it,
Yeah.
that motherfucker, you can print your own fucking price on that thing.
It's really crazy. I mean, and we're talking about a 2002 or 2003 standard RVT, graphics package, red and gray, nothing fancy about it. Yeah, and that's going to sell.
1000 with better suspension. It's pretty much what it is.
Yeah. No, and it's a great bike. And I said I've always kind of kept my eyes out for them, but I should have bought the 7 or 8 I had an opportunity to buy 5 or 10 years ago for $3 grand.
Yep.
I was turning away $3,000 and $4,000 RC51s because they weren't the exact one I was looking for.
Or mint. Like it's crazy how like a few years ago you turned down some shit that wasn't perfect.
Mhm.
And now that bike, the unperfect one, is selling for more than you could ever imagine, man.
Yeah. But you know what? The market will correct. There's absolutely no doubt about it. It's going to correct. It'll turn itself. It's going to come back to where it should be.
I hope so, because me and Johnny Mac were talking back and forth, and so my daughter over here, this one right there, she needs a 50 to 90 cc quad runner for our yard because our neighbor has a quad that she wants to run with. So I was like, I'll be able to find one for $400 with like a bad carb, and me and John, I'll call John and we'll fix it in an afternoon. It'll be great. Now it hasn't run in 3 year 90 cc fucking kids quads are $1,400. And yes, it needs 4 new wheels and the chain is fucking rusted, but
It's from China.
Yeah, it's still $1,400, which is insane.
Steve, if you need one, I have that TRX 125.
Yeah, how much? I'll buy it.
I don't care. I mean, I didn't pay much for it. You could
Well, whatever you want, I'll pay you for it because she
have
needs
to
the quad.
rebuild the carbs, and I put 2 new tires on it. You could have it for whatever is in it. I don't.
Yep.
I'm
I
in.
don't care.
Well, consider it sold. I'll give you an extra $100. Whatever you want.
I don't need the. I don't care about the money.
All right. Well, she
She will when I start charging them for that Kia Rockster.
Yeah.
Well, I know. I'm trying to dig out the money from my prison purse. Keeps getting.
Renee and I worked on the invoice today because we finally got everything in from the customs people. So we finally got everything figured out for that fucking thing. And so we were putting the invoice together, and she's like, "Does he have any idea what this costs?" And I was like, "No, he doesn't. But John and me have been building him up. So like he's frightened it's going to cost a fortune. It's actually not that bad. So it's reasonable."
Well,
What did you
it is. I'll give you the money. I mean,
we just thought it was funny because
What vehicle? How many fucking Japanese vehicles do you own now, Steve?
I think Steve might be your number one customer.
Yeah.
the Rocksta's a Korean vehicle, so that doesn't count as a Japanese vehicle.
Okay.
But I have 2. If you consider all my cars, I have 8 Japanese cars, but I mean, 2,
No, P cars, like the Phil Weird cars.
the three of them.
Okay.
you got 3. I've got one guy that's bought 6 of them off me. So there's a dude in Connecticut who is just, he's real reliable and he likes the kind of stuff I like. So every time I'll get something and I'll post it up on Facebook, or something that I've got it, he's always like, he'll be real chill. He'll be really quiet. And as soon as I put it up on web, because he knows like it's not smart to piss him off and show your hand. So he'll wait until I post it up on my website. When it gets up on my website, as soon as it's on the website, he'll hit me and he'll be like, "Hey," because I still am posting most of my Japanese stuff, a couple of thousand less than most of the other guys in the United States who are doing it. And it's just enough to make it, interesting.
Well, I've noticed on YouTube that there's a couple channels that have popped up that are like getting all fucking hot and bothered about the shit that you've been doing for fucking 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, I like doing it, but it's become very popular. And what's funny is it's become very popular, but it also chased me out of the game. I don't import Nissan Figaros anymore. I can't afford to import Nissan Figaros anymore. That went from being a $6,000 thing to a $30,000 thing. And it's the same fucking car. So it's like, I'm out. That's it. I'm gone. And like the Land Cruisers, the FJ80s.
Oh, they're insane.
Those Toyotas, when I used to get those things with 60, 70,000 miles on them for around 8 or 9 grand, those are now 30 and 40 grand.
Well, once Joe Rogan announced that he got a fucking whatever the 40, what is it? C40?
FJ40.
He got that and had it remade. There was none left in the country. Right. As soon as he said that was cool, all the fucking bro dudes that were fucking lifting weights were like, "I need one of those too, man." And like that was it.
Rockstar has the same underpinnings of a FJ40, which is very cool.
It's very cool. Yeah,
it's very cool. The thing that sucks is that the car is dope as shit.
Right.
All these fucking like testosterone monsters they don't deserve having the car. That's the problem.
No, they don't.
Get it. Yeah.
But you could buy an FJ, which is, similar to it. It's got the same underbody and frame as like a FJ 60.
Right.
So if you look at it, you're getting the same, basically the same thing. If you could buy an FJ, and those actually go way cheaper than an FJ 40 or a BJ 40.
Right.
So
that's right. Yeah. And when you get into certain weird, what I love is how the Japanese, who used to not give a shit about older cars, now all these weird 80s cars, these 84 Civics and 86 and 87 shit, the stuff that's like the 25 years old, it has a little value because Americans will still buy it. But then if you get into the shit that's like mid 80s, you get into a mid 80s Honda CRX, it's worth, not here, but in Japan, it's worth $20,000.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, you can find one still if a guy in Nebraska had one and he didn't put many miles on it. You can still find them here, and it's still a very reasonable car to buy. But ship that fucker to Japan.
I built a CRX in the early 2000s, and I spent a whole bunch of time finding an HF because the HF came with a 1.4 liter shitty motor,
right?
But it didn't have anything, and it weighed 560 pounds less than the SI.
Right.
So if you got the HF chassis and then you slapped a B16A VTEC dual overhead cam motor in it, now, and then you turbocharged it, you had a 260 horsepower, 290 horsepower fucking car that weighed like 2,000 pounds. Yep. And so I did that, and I think I put about $28,000 into that car, and I sold it for $7,000. So that was a totally solid fucking scenario that I had happen.
Good.
But if I would have kept that now and sold it the way it was, like you're saying, I could probably got $35,000 for the fucking thing at this point. Like,
it kills me. Yeah. And I mean, I do a lot of comparison shopping. So you'll see a car on a certain site or something, but you have to then acknowledge that car's just on that site. And that site may be trying to just have a blast with that one car. And then you go start and hunt around, check all the different auctions and stuff. You can find that same car on 7 or 8 different sites or 7, 8 different sellers. And you'll eventually figure out which one of those sellers actually has that car. Mm-hmm. So there's one guy that actually has the car. And then there's 6 guys that are going to sell that car to somebody and then go buy it from that guy, right? So that's the way these things work. So when you see like a car that you're like, oh, that's a cool car, I'd really like to have it, but it's $30,000. I'll bet you 9 times out of 10, if you let me play with that for a couple of hours, I can figure out which lot or which wholesaler it's actually sitting in. And all the other guys are taking their price and adding their cushion to it. So I've bought a lot of cars because it was at distributor 1. I saw it at distributor 1, but they kind of hide the chassis numbers. They kind of hide the VINs. They don't want you making it too easy for you. But if you dig around and you know where to look and which site, I can see a truck for $7,000 and end up buying it for $3,000 somewhere else.
Well, there's a guy on Facebook right now and all these other channels too. It's like Moto for You or something, where he's bringing in all the like untouchable 2-stroke Japanese, like TDR 250s,
absolutely,
RC whatevers and all the stuff. And like he has all these, especially the TDR 250s, he has those come in all the time, and he's charging $10,000 for these fucking things, and they're selling. And I'm like, if you had Phil's knowledge, I'm sure you can get them for $2,500 all fucking day long. You know what I mean? Like, so it's,
I'm just at the point right now where at this point, I'm not bringing in Japanese motorcycles only because they kind of have to go in a container, and shit gets weird once it gets in a container. And you can't bring them over onesie twosies. You just get crushed that way. You kind of have to go, and you got to do a 20-foot container. You've got to build out a container. And unless I'm physically fucking there, I'm not going to put 20 motorcycles in a container, 10 and then 10. I'm not going to do that if I can't physically be there to pick the bikes.
And people don't understand how important that is.
Ratchet strapped to the floor and to the ceiling and to the walls, like so those you can roll that container over and the bikes don't go anywhere.
Nope, doesn't matter. So when I was involved in the radio control industry, right, there were all these guys that were like $1,600 for a fucking an airframe for like a big 40% airframe. Like, that's insane. And then they went over to like Alibaba and stuff and found that you could buy these airframes for $200. So they're like, oh. So they flew over to China and they met with the company, and the company showed them these airframes, and they were great. For $250, they looked mint. And they were like, oh, great. So they flew back over, then they ordered 50, right? And then as soon as the guy wasn't there anymore, the Chinese guys just threw together whatever the fuck they could throw together to make these airframes. And as Phil said, they stuffed them into this container. And once you pay for them and it's in the container, you own whatever is in that container. So if they don't strap them down, if they don't do a good job, whatever. So these guys got things. And so they ordered like 200 airframes. They were going to keep 20 for fucking parts and sell 180 and make all this money. But when they actually got the fucking container, there was only like 25 usable airframes, and the rest were broken or fucked up or of lesser quality and other shit. So like, it's exactly as Phil said, unless you have somebody that can live there and watch the production and watch them load those containers every fucking day and see how they're strapping every single bike down, you're fucked. Because like, once they close that door, you own whatever comes over the seas, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
The way that these guys were bringing, the way they are bringing containers full of K trucks is they're literally taking the K trucks and they're putting them in the container like it's doing a wheelie. And they're putting another K truck on it, another K truck on it, another K truck on it, another K truck on it. They look like turtles fucking each other, right? And that's the method for getting the maximum number into a container. And we did a few adventures importing some Vespas from Italy. And we had put Vespas in a container, one pointing east, one pointing west, the whole way down, filling up the container, putting wood and cardboard between each bike. And then we built a floor in the container, screw guns and everything else. We built a floor so we could have 2 levels inside the container and maximize the amount of space inside the container, and just had it so there was barely any air in that fucking container. And that's how you made it work. That's how you made your profit margin. That's how you got a lot of bikes in. But that's cool when you're doing Vespa scooters and you can literally zigzag them in. Imagine trying to do that with motorcycles from the 80s and the 90s that are covered in irreplaceable plastic. And now you're going to put it in a container. And the big thing about the container you have to remember is when you're worried about your pickup truck, you're worried about this, right? When you're tying a bike into a pickup truck, it's this. This is what you're worried about. When you're going into a container, you're worried about this. And it's not tilty. It's literally the thing slamming side to side and slamming front to back. And when you take
you almost have to crate each bike and put it in the container.
Yeah. And well, a little tip from the guy that gets bikes shipped into him every single day that are in crates. Those crates come in containers. And the outside of the crate looks pristine. There's no damage on the outside of the crate. But the bike inside looks like it lost a fight, right? And that's because even though the exterior of the box, the cardboard or the wood or whatever it is on the outside of the box looks great, the bike inside has been getting this treatment. And it's really, really tough.
It's like your brain, like when you get hit in the head.
Yeah.
Your brain slashes around. You might look fine, but your brain is all.
Yeah. And that's because the containers get very rough.
I've been hit in the head so many times I can't even count. There's nothing wrong with me.
Well, the bikes and you have CTE damage, but that's okay. We love
That's fine.
Yeah.
So
that's brain slash right there talking.
So I just feel like if I was going to go over there, so if I'm going to go to Japan and I'm going to go in the place and I'm going to take, a couple of weeks and I'm going to buy 20 bikes. And if I'm going to buy 20 bikes and I'm going to go to the dock with my 20 bikes, I'll get a truck and we'll get them to the dock, and you give me a day with, a Milwaukee and a bunch of lumber, then we'll build out the container and we'll get the bikes in and we'll strap them in right and we'll do it and we'll get them over here. But the last thing I want to do, I had a bad experience a few years ago where a whole lot of motorcycles came over from Italy in a shipment I did, and every single bike, every fucking bike, all the plastics around the whole bike, all of them were fucked up. And you lose all your money. Everything's gone. Just everything's gone. Now imagine if those were old bikes, 30 years old, and now you got to try to find that plastic because the guy who's buying it doesn't want to buy it with the busted fender or busted side panels or a busted tail section. So,
Well, it's like we were talking about the booze on a boat.
Yeah.
Just that gentle rocking motion of a ship that takes a month to get over here. If you have a piece of something that's touching the bodywork and it's rocking back and forth, that's going to make a scuff.
But that's
So basically, to summarize, boat-aged alcohol, good.
better. Yeah.
Boat-aged motorcycles, not good.
Not so good.
I just want to reference a year and a half ago when I said booze on a boat better, and now you guys all agree. Thank you very much.
I don't think that everybody in this group agrees. I think that everybody in this group thinks that, I think that one part of this group agrees and the rest of the group thinks it's bullshit.
I watch moonshiners. I have a degree in moonshining alcohol, man.
I am
Does that sound
absolutely
factual?
certain of that.
Dan is gritting. Dan's punching shit right now. That's what he's doing.
It is perfectly appropriate to believe that strongly. It's not going
I'm
to hurt
not
him.
political, but I believe in boat alcohol. That's
Right.
my fucking.
It hurts nobody.
Opinion on alcohol.
What?
That's what I trust.
Hey, you want to hear a joke?
Yeah.
Hey, so two married buddies are out drinking one night when one turns to the other and says, I don't know what else to do. Whenever I go home after we've been out drinking, I turn off the headlights before I get into the driveway, shut the engine off, and coast into the garage. I take off my shoes before I go in the house and I sneak up the stairs. I get undressed in the bathroom. I ease into bed, and my wife still wakes up and yells at me and says, "What are you doing out so late?" His buddy looks at him and says, "Well, you're obviously taking the wrong approach." I screech into the driveway. I slam the door. I storm up the steps. I throw my shoes into the closet. I jump into bed. I run my hands on my wife's ass and I say, "How about a blowjob?" She's always sound asleep.
Yeah.
It took a second, but I'm laughing.
Perfect.
I think if my wife had a manifesto, that would be in it.
That's a pretty good one.
It's funny because it's true.
Oh, shut up, mister, going out of town for Poo-Tang. You're not even experiencing it yet. You have no voice in this scenario.
No. Remember, I've been married before, so I know, the pain.
Bill, I have one issue with some of your photos.
Yeah.
If you're going to take pictures of Merritt like that, could you please keep your hairy legs out of the photo?
Yeah.
It kind of ruins it for me.
Kind of do one of these and just kind of crap him out of it.
Yeah, that's better. Much better. Yeah. I don't want to see your toes and your hairy legs.
I was working really hard trying to take pictures to make my boat look bigger.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like the one with the helmet when you're on the dock with the helmet and your head's right under the helmet and
I
you
know.
look dark
I had to keep-
from a
I
space.
had to keep lining it up.
He was freaking me out, man.
All I know is that if you can afford to take your wife to islands like that, you don't need a big helmet. So you're fine.
Yeah, I think when we do the Moto Stories, we'll get some stuff together for the Moto Stories because there's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's a hell of a lot to unpack. Literally, there's nothing to unpack. But like, we did a lot of stuff that was really fucking stupid. We did a ton of stuff that I don't recommend to anybody. It was fucking risky. It made no fucking sense, but you just kind of work with what you have to deal with at the moment.
Yeah.
And then we did a lot of other stuff where it's like, we're so fucking glad we did that. And the trip was absolutely fantastic. But I'm not ready to go into business taking other people's money, taking them on that trip. Because a lot of the reason the trip worked well is because I'm married to a woman that can literally put 2 weeks of her life into one backpack, right?
Yeah.
And that makes things amazing. Like being able to be high speed and low drag like that really works. And you can't get that you can't have that kind of flexibility and be able to move and hit that many targets if you're trying to bring the big box, the luggage around. It's got wheels on the bottom of it, you know. We had
No
to
blow
move
dryer.
fast. What's that, John?
No blow dryer.
No blow dryer. Yeah. And, you know, the place we stayed at, I would love to take you guys to the place we stayed at. It's a fucking treehouse. And on this lady's property, she's over 70 years old. She's a certified rescue diver and a certified underwater welder.
Yeah.
And she knows everywhere on the island. She's been on that island since she was 20 years old. And so she knows every place to go on that island. She told us how to get to beaches that you can't get to unless you know. And we got all access pass to an island because of somebody that lived there that we rented a house from. And it was not expensive. I mean, it was very reasonable. And there's stuff like you go to the grocery store and you try to buy a can of soup, and it's fucking $7 for a can of soup. But a bottle of rum is $5. So not so much soup, more rum, you know?
Why eat?
And
you don't need to eat when you have rum for $5.
that's exactly it. And so I do think that there's going to be a trip in the future. I'm not sure how that's going to work out or how it's going to exist, but it can be done. You gotta, you know, there's certain things that we have to massage out of it. We gotta fix some stuff and make some stuff smoother. You know,
Well, right
change a
now,
few.
I can donate $41 from Moto Stories. That's how much we made.
Yes.
So we're $41 towards this trip. Just let you
Yeah.
know from here at this point.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I've gone on a lot of motorcycle adventures that were intended to be motorcycle adventures. This was never intended to be a motorcycle adventure, and it turned out being an amazing motorcycle adventure because it was accidental.
Best. That's the best. What else could you ask for in a trip?
Well, I mean, we're pretty happy, and the funny thing too is you don't need a passport. You know, you do need a fucking COVID test. Because St. John's has 0 cases and St. Thomas has extremely low number of cases, and they want to keep it that way. So if you think you're going to slide in there, the military's waiting for you.
How many knuckles did they go in?
No, there wasn't so much the going in. It was that whole, like, the right kind of test 3 days before you get on the plane.
Yeah.
And like, it had to be the exact right kind of test, given the right kind of way with the right result. And they'll let you get on the plane in DC or wherever, but they won't let you get into the airport in St. Thomas. And it's a real bitch to be on the tarmac. You've already paid for your ticket and you're on the tarmac, and some Spec 4 is going to ask you for the correct credential with the correct QR code and the correct color. And if your shit doesn't jibe, it's not a question of like, oh, I bought this fake vaccination card on eBay. That's not going to get you there. You got to have all the credentials. And this one particular thing, there's a reason that island behind me there, that island, that's Joost van Dyke. That's in the British Virgin Islands. You see how close that island is? I couldn't go there. So if I would have taken that little boat that I'm sitting on and went over to that island, it's a $10,000 fine. You're on the international do not fly list, and you're never welcome into England ever again.
Oh,
Just so you can sip a painkiller in the bar that invented it. I thought about that for a long time.
Yeah.
So you had originally talked about doing fucking my man Flint fucking 007 snorkel fucking attacks on the island. Did that ever happen or no?
We found a guy. So yeah, we found a guy, and the guy basically said, I'll take you there close enough. I'll get you to a point where you're going to jump off the back of the boat so I can tell customs, I don't know what happened. These idiots jumped off the back of my boat. And then I'll circle back for you about 7 hours later, and you be in the same spot. And then you can crawl up on the boat. And whatever happens after that's between you and whoever stops you. And we decided after talking to a couple of people that it just wasn't fucking worth it. So And it's not like there's no painkillers. There's fucking painkillers on every goddamn place on that fucking island. Like you'll die of painkillers, you know. But the idea was to have one in the BVI. That's just we're gonna save that for another trip. That's all. Hey, nice pussy.
Hey, Nick's cat is over there.
Oh, that's a squirmy one.
Yeah. Well, this was a feral cat 6 months ago. So
Wow, amazing.
yeah, he's a little buddy. This is
Yeah.
Elton, as in Elton John.
That's cool.
This guy. Say hi, Elton. Look at him. Hey.
Yeah, he's a
The
good one.
cat room. The cat room has cats.
Well, obviously, Dad.
Obviously.
Duh.
Ladies and gentlemen, the comedian of the hour.
There you go. Great. Chiming in from the cheap seats, or on the Misfits, they call that the pretty girl couch.
Hey, guys, is it more fun to have a dad that doesn't suck or a dad that sucks? I don't know. You don't know? Like, is it weird to have a dad that's me, or would you rather have a normal dad?
Yeah, she doesn't want to say if you're in the one or the other.
The correct answer is
Yeah,
20
right.
bucks is 20 bucks.
That's exactly right. So look, I have no support. My children hate me, but that's okay. All right, that's fine.
20 bucks
Yeah,
is 20
I have
bucks.
a question for Nick.
Yes.
Yep.
Have you ever ridden on North Carolina State Route 215?
215. I don't think so.
It's in the west end of the state, and it runs through from the South Carolina border north through the Pisgah National Forest, and then further north of that, it's an amazing road. I mean,
Yeah, there's a ton of really, really great roads in North Carolina, and they're not near me at all.
You're right.
I've ridden around a little bit for the past couple months, especially trying to like branch out and take some back roads and
Right.
stuff. But for the most part, I mean, you really have to get away from the suburbs to
You have to get closer
anywhere.
to Tennessee.
Exactly. The closer you are that way, then there's some really fantastic stuff when you get into the mountains and the forests and stuff like that.
The
But
weather's
all
not
around
holding
here-
you back, right?
What was that?
The weather's not holding you back. You've got good weather for it.
No, it's been pretty nice. I think today was mid 50s. Last I rode was the 1st, I think, January 1st. I was riding the CT90 around, exploring a little bit. But yeah, it's really beautiful around here. I just need to find some good roads.
I just
Yeah,
need
that
to find
road
some
is,
good snow.
that road starts out through the Pisgah National Forest. It's 35 miles an hour. After you get past that, it gets up to 45-mile-an-hour limit, and you're not going to go much faster than that. It's a challenging road. It was a lot of fun just in the car.
You said that was Route 215?
215.
So there's a lot of twisties, I'm thinking.
Say again?
So a lot of twisties.
It was constant twisties.
Mm.
In fact, I didn't think there was any way I could like my new car better than I already do. And then I drove it on that road, and I'm like, this is a fucking awesome car.
Nice. So how's the snowmobile doing, Johnny?
The snow machine?
The snow.
The snow machine's running pretty good. I fired it up today, and I brought it back in from Oberlin because there's no snow out there.
Nope.
There's more snow this way. I just talked to Bruce.
You should make a
What's
sticker that on the side that says McSlushy.
The McSlushy.
Wait, Bruce probably has like what, 4 feet at this point?
He's got enough, so I think I'm going to go over there first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Take it over there and go blast it around his place.
Oh yeah.
See how it's going to hold up. I'm looking for a pool toy. I mean, if you ever get enough snow out of your house, I thought bring it over there and get some sort of inflatable to drag around behind it and
Oh yeah.
fucking have a bash for a day.
That being said, the pond right now is about 3 inches of solid ice. So
Wow.
we got a little more, and then we're ready to go for some ice. And so
Nice.
my neighbor, who is awesome, I gave his brother a giant ball jar of weed, and now he's my best friend. And so they came over and gave me more moonshine, and they said, if you and your friends either skeet, shoot, or race motorcycles, if you don't fucking call us, I'm going to call the cops. And I said, what? And they said, yeah, if you don't invite us over to participate, then I'm going to get mad and we're going to call the cops. So basically, we have full-on range to shoot things and fucking ride things and do whatever, as long as we invite them to anything that we do. So we're good. Yeah.
I will say that the snow machine is better than I expected it to be. I mean, for $500, that I guess that Road Tax puts out like 75 horsepower.
So how many?
And it's like, okay.
I sent you a link to an enticer for $300.
Yeah, snow machines are cheap if you want one. I mean, it's the thing of it is you'll maybe only get to use them 3 times a year. You know, I don't know.
Yeah,
it was supposed to be the $500 snow machine that cured me of wanting to get a snow machine, but it actually turned out to be pretty cool. So, I mean, I did a dry rip, and it's like anything, you know, as soon as I gave it any kind of throttle, the skis came right up off the ground, and it was like, what? And I'm like, ah.
Your YouTube video looks
like one side of the property to the other side of the property is like 1.5 seconds. Like, what?
Oh yeah, no, like
I don't know
your
what
video. You could see that you were having a ball in your video. You were like on the grass, and all of a sudden there was nothing but sky, and then you were at the end of the property. Like,
so yeah, I mean, like, there's not enough property there. I mean, snowmobiles are built for going across fucking 70-acre fields. You know, like that thing's sick. So I mean, you can ride it around slow in some normal snow, but I mean, like full throttle.
Definition of a snowmobile trail in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Shortest distance between 2 bars.
So describe for the podcast listeners, describe the machine you bought, year, make, model, etc.
That's a 1990 Ski-Doo Formula Plus. It's equipped with a twin cylinder, liquid cooled Rotax motor. And I guess earlier years, they actually put out like 90 horsepower, but this one is a little bit detuned for the low and mid range. And it puts out like 70 horsepower.
And how many cc's is that unit?
521.
Wow. Yeah.
So, you know, you figure like, and it's a hyper, you know what I mean? Like, and it has no gearbox, you know what I mean? It's just the motor. Yeah. 2 pistons, 2 connecting rods, a crank, you know, like very rude. And the liquid cooling is there's a pump, but it pumps it back to a plate underneath the seat so that the snow throws up on the cold plate, and so it's actually snow cooled as you're riding it. The snow is what liquid cools it, so you have to have some snow,
right?
Or you know, but it's got a temperature gauge and stuff. Yeah, it's supposedly. I mean, I guess after you're riding for a while, it's going to warm up the seat and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was a kid, the ones that we had even back then, the liquid cooling, and you know, there was always a heat sink that was based on the snow plate that was, it's not, instead of using a radiator and wasting all that beautiful heat out into the environment, you would actually, as you'd ride the thing, the seat would get plenty fucking warm. Yeah. Like the idea is like you need a seat heater. No, you don't really need a seat heater. It's kind of engineered into it.
Yeah.
Cool.
CVT
I heated grips. I got the one wasn't working. I soldered it, so the heated grips work.
Cool.
And I mean, it starts with one pull. I like the cool thing about those is the primer on it. You don't have a choke. It has a little plunger thing. You pump it 3 times, and it has like right where the normal vacuum ports on a normal carburetor. It squirts gasoline right into the intake port. So 3 pumps, 1 pull, and bring it into, you know, it fires right off. No problem.
That's cool. That's great.
So we'll see. I just waiting for the right moment.
It looks exactly like a 1990s sled should look.
Oh yeah, it's all red on red, red bogies, red this, like.
Yeah. Oh, it's the best. It's the best era of sleds. It looks like to me that's a fucking snow machine, not this new bullshit. Like that's a snow machine.
It's new enough that it's got full suspension, so it's got shocks in the front and dual shocks in the rear, and like if you stand up on it and bounce up and down, it actually, it's not just a solid ride.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. The big thing will be if it ever makes it across the pond, because I've watched a number of videos where that same snowmobile is excellent for water skipping. Like guys are just riding them like a fucking jet ski across a lake. So we'll have to.
Hauling your ass around now.
Well, I'm thinking maybe Oscar does the first
That's
trip
what I'm
across
thinking.
the pond.
I'm think we put a flotation device on the ski and we put a flotation device on the Oscar and we send him out.
Gotta roll to pull him back in.
I just watched a video where a guy actually took the snowmobile across a pond with so that'll be fun.
I don't know. I just found a helmet that'll fit John's head, and it was a 9X.
No.
And I sent you a picture, but they were already sold out. I'm sorry, I couldn't.
All I saw was that one that was the comic helmet that was about 4.5 feet in diameter that was on the back of the Moto Guzzi.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was almost big enough for me.
It was pretty good. I'm going to be going to the Las Vegas AIM Expo on the 14th. So coming up here real quick. But turns out I might not go. It's just getting a little too weird out there. And I do feel like Las Vegas is ground zero for weird, right?
Yeah.
So for exactly 7 days from today, or less actually, the idea of injecting myself into Las Vegas via a large silver vessel full of other humans breathing, it just seems like a bad fucking idea. And then to go into a convention center with more humans breathing from all over.
You're going into a Mortal Joe of Macon. Like, that's going to be the next.
It's like Portland 1 show number 2.
That's exactly it, right? And that's, hey, I love myself a motorcycle show. I love myself a trade show. But at this point, I got to check with Liza and her crew and see if they're still planning on going it. Where they are, they can drive to the thing. And honestly, if I could drive to the thing, I think it would lower my risk by about 30%. The idea is getting in an airplane. I mean, I know how airplane filtration systems work. That's its own jam too. But airports themselves, we were 2 weeks in the Virgin Islands. We never had a meal indoors. We ate everything outside. We drank everything outside. Everybody was pre-tested. You could have rubbed your dick on anything and not got COVID. You were fine. But getting out of that motherfucker, all the hard work that went into getting in is all reduced to nothing when you get into the airport and it's assholes and elbows. And when you're right on top of people, because that's where they got you, and you go through security, you can't come back out again, and you're trapped in there for 2-3 hours because they want you to get there ahead of time because it's the Caribbean. And like that whole time I'm sitting in that airport, I was like, Jesus Christ, there's no such thing as social distancing. You're right on top of people. And imagine that where your destination is Las Vegas Airport. And if you've ever been to McCarran Airport, you'll know that it's like you get off the plane, they give you a cigarette, and they stuff one of the machines that takes your money away. So you get a cigarette, you get a jackpot machine right in front of you, and you're screwed. And like the slot machines and cigarettes, that's got to be COVID prime, man. Like that's it.
Yeah.
So I just can't feel like going to Vegas for 4 or 5 days is the best possible use of my time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I registered for it too, and I held off getting a hotel room and buying a flight. I was thinking maybe I would just drive out there because where the hell do I have to be?
Right.
But I'm having second thoughts about it. I don't think I'm going to do it either.
Yeah. I can cancel the ticket. It's like $200. And in the weird world of today's travel with United, it was a $200 non-refundable ticket. But for $90, I can upgrade the ticket into a refundable ticket. Mm-hmm. So I think I'll upgrade my ticket into a refundable ticket. I don't know how the math works on that, but so yay. And the hotel said I could cancel my room up until the day before. So the Sahara. So I really don't feel, I'm having a not so fresh feeling. And there's a lot of things in Vegas I love to do, but I don't think I'd love to do them as much.
So I have a circulating back to the last podcast question. And this is to everybody, but I'm going to break it up. So Smith, how did your Chris Smith Fireball Christmas Eve go? And then did everybody else get what they asked for and whatever else happened with Christmas? Because we never discussed any of that. So Smith, how did Fireball Christmas go? Or Chris Smith go?
Well, it kind of petered out a little bit. So what we ended up doing was, rather than going to somebody's house, because it's going to be at my sister-in-law's house, and she got the Rona. So we ended up going to Gormley's, which is over on Worcester Road and Center Ridge. So we rented out the upper part of Gormley's bar, and everybody brought their own food, and everybody brought 10-foot poles to keep your distance, and we passed out, some gifts. But you know what? It was as good as you'd expect it to be during the Rona. So, we got to see everybody, but it was kind of a low-key situation.
What about Dr. Mecklefresh up there? What happened with you?
I mean, I really didn't ask for anything. I bought my own Christmas present, a snow machine, kind of. And so, yeah, I was feeling a little sick, and I had to work that day. So, but I did go. We went over to the in-laws and had prime rib. That was awesome.
Nice.
Diane and I went down to South Carolina. We tried to isolate for about 10 days before we went. Tested before we got in the car to drive down. Drove down and left at 11:30 at night, so we didn't come within 30 feet of another person on the drive down there. Visit my friend Gary, who's just had chemo in the past year. And his sister lives across the pond from them, and they had wanted to get together for Christmas, but his sister had been up in New York for a couple of weeks. She came back, got herself tested, and found out she was positive after flying back from New York. She was vaccinated, didn't get it too bad, then came home from the trip and found out that I lost another friend on Christmas Eve to coronavirus.
Oh, Jesus.
Is that Shannon?
We did take a trip down to Columbus. That's where we went to that Otherworld thing. I highly recommend that. It's like a strip mall, like, old clothes Kmart, and then you just started building out room for room, and each one is a different, like, total psychedelic experience. And so, I don't know how much it was for each. What?
Is it like mushrooms, acid, or just smoke weed?
Anything you want. I mean, even I didn't do anything, and it was still really super cool. And I guess there's like a scavenger hunt. There's like things you can look up and everything, but you could take the kids. I mean, B would love it. I mean, like, because there's all kinds of, like, you can crawl through this little, like, mouse hole into the next room, and like, just super cool. It was, 2-3 hours walking around in there was a lot of fun. I mean, we had to wear masks and everything, but and they continue to build it. They bought the next place over, so it's just like they have a permanent crew of like 6 or 7 people, and they're basically just building out room after room of whatever crazy thing they can come up with.
Awesome. I'll make it happen.
So,
all right. So Sunday, I'm taking my daughter back to OSU, so maybe we'll stop in.
Definitely check it out, man. It's worth it.
Yeah, cool.
Hey, Phil, are we going to go to the Piston Power Show? Can we get? It's going to be at the IX Center this year.
It is going to be at the IX Center this
I
year.
thought the IX Center was getting demolished.
Yeah,
No.
I did too.
They were demolishing some other shit. I saw it. I jumped to conclusions. I later looked it up, and no, they're not tearing down the IX Center.
Oh, really?
I was wrong.
So the IMS show just said, "Fuck you guys," then. Like,
Yeah, and
they
that's
can't even
just
use
like-
that as an excuse now.
The IMS show, the people who organize the IMS show, by the way, the picture behind me, there's no filters.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's just what it looks like.
You married up, dude. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I know that. That's obvious. Yeah. You did too, sir. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think IMS has been dying for years. If you look at it, a lot of major manufacturers weren't even showing up at the last one. And I just think it was shriveling to the point where they're just not doing it anymore.
Well, what all the guys, the new director of it, we had a good conversation with him. He made it very clear. He's like, if we're going to do this, for COVID, because now it's 2 years. But back when it was still the beginning of COVID and you're trying to do a whole year schedule, every venue had to be an outdoor venue. So there's no way their insurance providers, there's no way the major manufacturers would agree to participate in something that was an indoor venue. So everything had to be outdoors. And the Portland One show that we didn't go to last year, but the Misfits went to, that was this kind of like an open hall, freeze your balls off, bring your own camp chair kind of event. And all the IMS shows became outdoor shows, massive real estate, outdoor experience, make the best with what you got. But all those type of indoor convention center type shows all got canceled because nobody wants to run the risk. And honestly, nobody can insure you to say we're going to have an indoor event and 30% of the people that show up are going to end up getting COVID.
All they had to do was open the doors to the IX Center and it'd be an outdoor event.
It'd be an outdoor event. That's it. You could ride the fucking Ferris wheel till your arms fell off. But but yeah, I do think that's a big part of it. But I do the Piston Power Show again. If it's at the IX Center, we'll have to see. I mean, I personally will have to see what's going on with this thing we're in right now, because a lot of people are saying that. And this is bullshit, my personal thing or whatever, it has nothing to do with it. It's like some people are going to get vaccinated, some people are going to get the virus. The end result is going to be the same.
Or you're going to get both of them and then have like whatever.
And how?
I have all of that. I've done all of that.
Hey, Sleepy, how did that work out for you?
Very much better than somebody that wasn't vaccinated, I'll tell you that.
Right. But I mean, how was your trip? Like, how did you enjoy that?
I didn't at all.
Right. So as long as Sleepy is my bellwether for what kind of an experience I might have if I decide to go hang out in a room with 7,300 old white men and 36% of them don't believe in the vaccine, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, it's not worth it, man.
Matter. I mean, because the people who've been vaccinated could have it and give it to you. So it's just the sheer factor. It's 7,300 people. You just want to avoid people in general.
Exactly.
You're right. Yeah, it doesn't. At this point now, like vaccination is a personal thing, and it's either going to make you go to the hospital and be on a ventilator, or like as most of us experience, COVID sucks. But I never thought my lungs were going to explode. Like that was like the big thing of getting back. I was like, vaccination kept my lungs from exploding, and I didn't have to go to the hospital and be on a ventilator. It sucked. I don't want to do it again, and I'm very conscious of that. And I wear masks, and I'm like, I don't even go anywhere. I don't do anything. I go to my old house, this house, and if I have to, Home Depot. But I look like a fucking scuba diver when I go to Home Depot. I'm like, I'm wearing all the shit when we go there. I don't care. I don't care what my laughs. I'm like, you can laugh at me, but I've been through the shit and I don't want to go through it again. It sucks ass, dude. It sucks.
Did you get the smelling thing?
Oh yeah, I just got my smell back.
Oh, so that's what I haven't heard if you actually get it back or not.
And so
we'll ask your daughters. We'll ask your daughter whether or not you ever lost your smell.
Oh, I did, because I was farting constantly, and I was like, I don't smell anything, and they were like, I hate you.
I love you.
Yeah, but now I can fart and smell it, and that's when I knew I was back. I was like, okay, I can smell my own farts. We're good. But anyway.
That's what Sparky. So today Sparky said that it's official. He's completely lost his sense of smell and taste.
Oh, then he loves you guys now.
Yeah.
So this child has waited 2 hours to open her present. So I'm going to have to say that we're going to have to cut this short.
Okay.
She has to go and open presents. It's her 8th birthday today.
Wow.
Happy birthday.
Hey, birthday. Say hi.
That's 8 years old.
Happy birthday.
Yep. So that was the last time I was fertile. 8 years ago was the last time a seed exploded for me that was fertile. So
Yeah.
All right.
anybody got anything else?
No, man.
Nope.
Ride fast and take chances.
Wow.